Hey there, so this is Frank Hanlon from Hanlon Realty. I am your rural roots realtor in Dufferin County, Gray County, and Simcoe County, and today I want to do a video about septic systems. Now I'm going to do a full series on this because I think it is something that needs to be talked about. What we're dealing with today, what my buyers are dealing with today, and what the sellers are dealing with today is antiquated and old septic systems. Now, a gravity-fed septic system, if it's managed and maintained, can manage itself for approximately 30 to 40 years. Most of the properties that we're dealing with right now in Southern Ontario have septic systems that are much, much older than that. And unfortunately, they are requiring a full rebuild and it's costing a lot of money. Now, one of the things that you want to look for failure as a buyer, now you're dealing with the right agent has got to be one of the most important things you're going to do as a buyer, because there's a lot of agents that have no idea what they're looking for in rural properties, and especially when it comes to septic systems. Visible signs of the issues that you may have. First of all, you want to know where the drain field is, where your leaching field is, and that is the pipes that are running out of your septic tank, and you want to get that checked. Now, that alone can fail after 30, 40 years, let alone the tank. The leaching field alone or the drain field alone could fail, compact itself to the point where it no longer percolates, and that is going to cause a huge issue with drainage. So, we're going to be walking around, we're going to be looking at soft and soggy ground, and we're going to be using our noses. We're going to be smelling. Usually out in the rural areas, you're going to get a lot of farmers that are out there, and they're going to be spreading their cow manure around, and you're going to get a lot of that smell anyways. But we're going to be looking for something a little bit different, something a little more specific, and relatively close to the home, within the leaching field of that property. Another thing that we're going to be looking for is green grass. Normally, you have green grass in the early spring and in rainy season and in the fall. In the dead of the summer, the only green grass that you're going to have around that leaching field is at the pipes. And if that's the case, we may have a problem. That's going to indicate that there's a leak in those pipes and you're not going to want to deal with it. Now, the biggest thing, age of the system. Most systems are going to last 20 to 30. A good maintained septic system is going to last for 40. Now, there's a couple of new systems that are out there. There's an EcoFlow system. I'm dealing with one right now. And this is a client that is having a huge amount of problems with this system. And we're talking about a rebuild of $40,000+. Now, as a realtor, what do I look for when I have a buyer that's looking for a property like that? If I'm representing the seller, I'm telling the seller that they need to fix it. If I'm representing the buyer, I'm also telling the buyer that the seller has to fix it. So if if it's nearing the end of its life, if it's at that, because we're going to have records, we're going to see when that was installed, we're going to be able to go back to the town, and because the town has all the records of every septic system that's been installed in this area. So we're going to be able to pull the records to see how old the septic system is. Was there any building permits done on the property? Did they upgrade the septic system to keep in tune with the upgrade to the house? Extra bedroom, extra bathroom, all that kind of stuff. Pump out records and maintenance. Now, you should be pumping out a family of 4. You really should be pumping out your system every 3 to 5 years. If it's just mom and dad and they're empty nesters, that system could probably hold for 8 to 10 years without having to be pumped out, because there's really not that much activity in the system, especially if they're adding bacteria and it's eating away at the system for them, which is a good, healthy thing to do, putting in live cultures. Now, we want to be looking for the records. We want to be looking for inspection records. We're looking for cracks in the tank, cracks in the lids, things like that. Those are very, very important in a septic world. You come out of the city and you flush the toilet in the city and it just disappears. Well, guess what? When you're in the rural part of Ontario and you flush the toilet, it just drops into a tank on your land. You do have to deal with that at some point. So how else can we be checking for early on when we're doing our visuals of the property? So we're going to be walking through the property. We're going to be checking for soggy soil. We're going to be checking for the smell. We're going to be looking for the ends of the runs to see if there's any drop-offs. And we're also going to be doing a water flow test. So, while we're there doing a walkabout, we're going to turn on a few taps. And we're going to see if we can hear downstairs some gurgling, if we can get any smell, if we're looking for smell. And you got to remember, guys, when a seller in a rural property is trying to sell their property, they're going to do the maintenance on the house. The house is, a paint, a floor, maybe some carpet, some hardwood, stuff like that, an appliance or two. The septic system is the most overlooked system on the property, because it is the most expensive to repair and or replace. You can be up as high as 50 grand to replace one. To put a new septic system into a new build, you're looking at, for a regular gravity feed system, you could be 20 to 30 grand. But when you have to do a rebuild, when you have to replace it, you have to take out all the old soil that is compacted and destroyed over the 30 or 40 years of the leaching field, dripping water through it. You have to remove that soil, and then you have to truck that out and then truck in new soil. So you're doubling the cost. And that's the bottom line. You got to remember that you're doubling the cost. So we're looking for slow drains, and we're looking for any stress on the system at all. Building permits and upgrades. I touched on this. This is one of the things that's most important when you see that there's been a rural property that has an extension built, and a lot of them do. We have a lot of properties in the rural that are multi-generational. They've built the property to accommodate mom and dad, the kids, and grandma and grandpa. And typically they're all in one house. When that happens, building permits are required. You can't DIY a septic system. You're just not allowed to do it. It's very expensive if you get caught, and it's very expensive to fix. And if you buy that property and you didn't realize that it was done, you have the responsibility to fix that, not the seller. And even if you go backwards and try to get the money out of them, it's not likely going to happen. So you want to ask if there was any permits, if there was any inspections done when the upgrades to the house were made. We're going to be looking for any DIY or anything that would be legal on the property. And the septic system must match the home's official number of bedrooms and bathrooms. And because you can quickly overload a system if you do all those extensions and you do not upgrade your septic system. What I mean by that is adding runs on, or maybe increasing the size of the tank. If you don't do that, you're going to end up with a backup, and that backup is going to end up in your house. And if that backup is in your house and there was no permits to upgrade the system and the system was never upgraded, you're not going to get insurance on it. Remember to hire the right agent, guys. Somebody that knows the systems, somebody who knows that rural properties are important. This is important. The wells are important. All these things are important. In the last 2 years, I have seen multiple septic systems need to be replaced before and after the sale. And I've seen a lot of wells that have collapsed. A lot of wells that have failed because they were bleached, and then they passed the system and everything was fine. And then 2 months later, the well water was bad. I'm going to do another series on that one as well. So if you're thinking about trading in your city lights for country nights, the dream home that might be hiding a costly secret underground, that might be the one that you buy, and you don't want to do that. Septic systems are out of sight, but they shouldn't be out of mind, and replacing one can be $25,000 or higher depending on the size of that system. So it's very important that we have the right people working on it for you. Hanlon Realty is that. So here's a pro tip for you. When you're thinking about putting in a new system, you've been told to put in a new system, the system is not working, you have options. Don't just go out and replace the system or take the answers from the first person that comes out to see you. There's a lot of companies that are out there that will help you to try and fix this. So don't take the seller's word that the system is okay. And don't take the first contractor's word that the system is okay. What you want to do is you want to make sure that everything is in order. Get a level 1 and or a level 2 septic system inspection done. And it may cost you $1,000, but at the end of the day, that $1,000 could save you 50 grand. Then you also want to ask about soil fracturing. Now, if you have a leaching field that is compacted too much and it's not allowing water to drain, or the percolation is bad, We can get a soil fracturing company in there, and what they do is they actually drill holes and inject water into the ground to loosen the soil. That's another pro tip that you can use all day long. So guys, listen, this is Frank Hanlon from Hanlon Realty. I'm here for you. I'm a rural realtor, Rural Roots, Ontario. We work in Southern Ontario. We do Grey County, Simcoe County, and Dufferin County. And if you have a question regarding selling your rural home with a septic system, I'd be happy to come out and give you some ideas on how we can capitalize and get the most money for that property. And if you're a buyer, I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to show you what we're looking for. I'm going to make sure that that septic system is at the top of its game. I'm going to make sure that when you buy that property, that septic is going to last you a minimum of 20 years. Okay, guys, talk soon.